Welcome to episode 247 of the Center Ring Esports Podcast. And if you guessed it, you guessed correctly. This is going to be the best episode ever. It is Monday. We have Yikes of the Week, and we have some big yikes to get to there. CDL Minnesota wrapped up. It went exactly as everyone thought it would. So we'll break that down. Also, a surprise Shotzzy from the Dallas Empire interview. We have a quick little met with him this morning, so we'll play that for you. Some good stuff there. And DreamHack Masters Spring for NA and EU both wrapped up, so we'll go over the finals and everything there. Again, pretty much nailed it as we predicted. Like, we really proved our smarts here with esports with how the weekend wrapped up. And e-news to wrap it all up. But before we get to any of that, got to tell you about alts. Alt is the top of the line, the cream of the crop, the creme de la creme of esports attire. Go to altesports.com, pick yourself up a 101 Burglars hoodie. Soon to come more. No spoilers, but keep an eye out. Okay, follow on Twitter @Ultimate. Okay, that's where all the announcements will go. In the meantime, get yourself a nice little bundle package. They still have some available there. Crazy good deal. If you're needing something to spice up your look, right? Your closet's looking a little boring. It's looking a little dull. You need something to spice it up. It's summer. It's 2020. Everyone's stuck in quarantine. No one cares what I look like. You're wrong. We care what you look like, and we want you to look good. So go to altesports.com. Pick yourself up a nice little priced alt bundle, which they got options, right? I think it's like from 20 to 60 bucks. I don't know. It's a crazy good deal though for what you get it. And tell them TCR sent you.
Hey, this is Shotzzy from the Dallas Empire here, and you're listening to The Centering.
Okay, so let's start.
Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome back to another edition of The Center Ring, a.k.a. TCR, a.k.a. your favorite esports podcast. Yes, this is episode 247, coming to you live and or pre-recorded from an undisclosed location. The time is 9 p.m. exactly, Central Time. The date, June 14th, 2020. Make sure you follow us on Twitter @TheCenterRing, and our website tcr.gg's got all the other links: Discord, YouTube, Instagram, if we still do that. We have a link. We have an account, so you can follow it if you want. But Twitter, Discord, all that's very active. If you're looking for a group of guys to play with, typically always have someone available, or at least looking to play some Valorant, CS, whatever you want. Nice group of ringers, as we call our listeners sometimes when we remember. Yeah, that's it. My name is Tim. I'll be your captain for this journey into esports, and alongside me, as always, is my best friend, my brown friend, my 1 year older than last time friend. It's Anuj. What's up?
I feel like my wisdom level from just last show to now has gone up 100 times. And I only know this because today, and I wrote it down, Tim, I showed you probably, maybe. If I didn't, I'll show you later. I predicted the winner of who would win DreamHack Masters. I said it before even the first round happened.
You even told me how it was going to happen.
I told you exactly what was going to happen there. Easy pick. And then I knew it. I knew Florida was going to come through today. And I knew they would run the table, and I knew they would make it look easy. And so, birthday did me well.
Incredible. Well, happy late birthday to you. How old are you?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
It's all right. My birthday's here in 6 days. I'll be turning the big 3-0. Turning the milestone. I'm an official boomer. No longer in my 20s. I can no longer get away with things.
You really can't. Like, you can't use the excuse anymore.
Like, he's in his 20s.
Yeah, just a kid. He's
Yeah.
just a kid.
Nope. Nope. I
No,
have a kid of
that's
my
gone.
own now. I'll be 30. There's really nothing. It's like life is passing me by. Nothing
Yeah.
exciting to get to.
Important show announcement, Tim. So this will be my last show for the week. And I will be out starting Wednesday. Did it sound like I was leaving permanently? Did it work a little bit?
Maybe perked
little
up
bit?
some ears. Maybe perked
Okay.
up some ears.
Okay. So yeah, no, I will be leaving Wednesday.
You know
I'll
what,
be
though?
gone.
If this was how you would told me that it was your last show, it would be about as much of a notice Brett gave me when it was his last show. So you'd be
Fair
right up
enough.
there.
I would never do that to you. I'd at least put in a 2-week notice. At least put
Thank
in
you.
the 2-week notice.
Thank you.
But yeah, no, so I'll be gone for a week starting Wednesday. I think I'll be back like the following Sunday.
So just take one show off?
No,
2 shows off, right?
Wednesday off, Sunday off.
So you'll be back the next Wednesday.
And I think I'll be back the next Wednesday.
Okay.
So at least a week off would be my guess. We'll see how life treats me this first week, but yeah, dude, we're excited. We're at the finish line.
Yep.
We're at the finish line.
I mean, it's going to happen no matter what. I will say this. My wife heard us talking on the phone, and you were like, oh, yeah, she goes in at 8 p.m. And I was like, oh, okay, well then kid will be here by 10. And my wife was like, you're an idiot. Do you not remember, like, we were in the hospital for like a day and a half after being induced? So you could be looking. I would go to your sister and get your Nintendo Switch back.
Yeah, I already got it. No,
Okay,
yeah,
then
so
good.
the kid will be born
Good.
on Thursday. On Wednesday, she's going in just to start the medication to induce. So the baby will be here on the 18th. He will be officially joining us. I highly doubt he comes that same night unless
Right.
we go in and she's like crazy dilated or something, but unlikely. So
I have a strict rule: no baby can share my birthday. So, if somehow, which would probably be way more of a medical emergency, if it stays till the 20th,
he will not be here on the 20th. don't even say that right now. My wife will lose her shit. So no, baby will be here on the 18th. Right in between both of our birthdays. He's not interfering with either one of them. He planned that out well. And so we're ready to rock and roll, dude.
that's
Ready
exciting.
to rock and roll.
Exciting, and just in time for nothing.
Just in time for Father's Day, homie.
Father's
That means
Day,
I get a
yes, you do
gift.
get a gift.
I
for
get
that.
hooked up.
You do get a gift. Ginger Slayer says a very rude comment in Twitch chat saying no one likes me anyways, so everyone gets a week off. Not true.
That was why I had to make the announcement. I just wanted y'all to know. If you were looking forward to Tim's Yang being gone, not his Wang, his Yang, then tune in.
I
If you
will
feel
be
like-
socially canceled for something inappropriate without a nude cheer.
most likely. So this could be the last show.
I don't
It could,
I don't
could
have
be the last show.
the minority to back up on anymore. Like I got
No,
I'm free rolling.
you could bring in Kevin to cover
I'll
that
have to
need.
bring in someone else because I
Yeah,
just can't
yeah.
trust myself here. So yeah, long story short, Baby and Nuge will be here. We'll probably take off Wednesday. Okay, I'll probably take a personal day myself. Okay, I feel like this is just as much my baby as yours.
Look, hey, I'm going to need your support, brother. I'm going to need you. I'm going to be texting you. You have to
will
be available.
definitely need my support.
There may be some questions, so you got to be ready.
Yep. And Sunday we'll figure it out. Okay? Maybe a solo. Maybe I'll get someone. I'll go through my Rolodex and see what person I can convince to burn an hour or so with. So guest.
That's a 30-year-old word you just used, by the way.
Yeah, people don't know what a Rolodex is
No,
anymore.
No, that's like a 30-year-old kind of move right there.
Yeah.
So
So I'm already showing my age. Already showing it. A Rolodex is like a spinning thing of index cards with people's phone numbers. So there's that. Look it up on your Palm Pilot.
there you go. Or you use a zip drive while you're at it.
They'll tell you. They'll tell you right there. Fun fact, Anuj and I met at working at Circuit City many years ago. And I remember they still sold Palm Pilots when we worked there.
Dude, that was like
'Cause I worked on the computer side and I somehow had to sell someone a Palm Pilot and compare it to an iPhone, because that was right when the iPhone came out.
We were selling like $4,000 plasmas back then.
Yeah.
Like, remember, like plasmas were like the deal. Like, you'd have to deal with the burn-in, but damn, they looked good, you know?
Yeah, we are old. Nothing makes you feel older than looking at what technology was like your youth, right? You'll see in the Shotzzy interview, I joke about it, but it is true. Like, if I ever need an age check and someone's like, oh man, the first Call of Duty I ever played was like Black Ops. I'm like, what? Like, they're like, what was the first Call of Duty you played? Call of Duty. The first one. Like, what do you mean
Like
Advanced Warfare?
Call of Duty.
Yeah. Like, what do you mean Advanced Warfare was your first Call of Duty you played? Like, what is happening right now? Am I that old? Is Call of Duty that old? The answer is yes on both. On both. So, old gamers, dad gamers, we're here for you. I feel your pain. I feel it. All right. Let's get into it, though, because speaking of feeling the pain, we got to get some yikes of the weeks out of the way.
We do.
I'll start with the first one here. Coming from Riot. Could you believe Riot has a yikes of the week? And could you believe it has nothing to do with League of Legends or the LCS or anything else?
You know, but this is like right up their alley, I feel.
I mean,
this is like right up their alley to some extent.
in fact, if you told me Riot didn't have to fire someone for making racial insensitive remarks, I would honestly be more shocked. Like,
that might have been the yikes.
Like, when I saw the headline, Riot Games have fired their global head of consumer products, Ron Johnson, the day after he announced that they were investigating comments he made on Facebook regarding George Floyd that may have been a little insensitive. I was like, yeah, no, that sounds about right.
It's like you saw the comments that were made, and then you're like, okay, now let's see how Riot handles this, right? Because a lot of stuff with Riot doesn't really get handled. It just kind of gets swept under the rug. Everybody moves on. It resurfaces 6 months later. And it's kind of a rinse and repeat with a lot of previous accusations.
No one is happier that one of their employers made a racial insensitive comment and they had to fire them than Riot. Because for once, Riot is like, thank God we don't get to talk about the sexual assault cases. Let's move on from those quickly.
We'll take the high ground on this one,
yeah.
You know?
Quickly.
So obviously, a lot of this has to do with investors got involved. You know, sponsors were a big play on this. Like, this just wasn't going to fly with anyone. And so they made the right decision in letting him go. It just sucks that, you know, he was an employee when he made these comments. So it is tied to their name, and they did what they had to do. And this guy... Look, I don't know what the global head of consumer products exactly does, but it sounds like a title where you make pretty good money.
Sounds important.
So, sounds important. So this guy's going to be taking a hit. So I think that's a good, fair punishment in this case.
Yes. All right. What's yours?
So mine is in the world of streaming, Tim. So, I mean, esports related, I feel Symphony has a tie to esports. Symphony, big streamer for NRG, was recently in a Warzone stream where he was playing, just running whatever 2s, 3s. There's a clip of him, Tim, that looks awfully suspicious that surfaced, that got clipped and thrown out there, and he even had to comment on it. And it looked like he was aimbotting. And so this clip surfaces, and NRG has come out and made a statement. He's made a statement. If you watch the clip, yes, it looks like he flicks into a random spot and then flicks to another spot, and there happens to be players where he ended up shooting the second time. They were hiding inside of a back of a SUV or van or whatever. He shoots at the outside of the van, so it looked funny. But I'll tell you, like, watching as many streamers as we've seen, we also know that they try to do this stuff to like instigate that type of conversation or get that type of reaction from people, because they're playing so much. Like, it's not like they're playing 3 or 4 games.
You get brought up on the number one esports podcast.
Yeah, and it, you know, for him it's unfortunate because the fires were definitely lit. I'll tell you though, I don't believe he's hacking. He's been very good at video games for a long time. I mean, since before H1Z1, obviously was awesome at Fortnite, is now doing really well in Warzone. I think he's one of those like skilled FPS gamers that, look, he has the ability, game sense to kind of understand, if I do this and it works, it's gonna light a fire. Right now, if nobody was in the van, this wouldn't have been a clip that anyone's talking about. It wouldn't have mattered. So I think it's just to kind of get a rise. But the yikes here, I think, is just more to how quickly everyone came out with the pitchforks to be like 100% cheater, like it has to be cheating. He's got so much riding on being able to stream and play. I'm gonna take him for his word that he, definitely not cheating. I don't believe he is. And look, if it comes out that he is, great. It's another yikes.
You'll show up. Yeah, you'll show back up here. I will also say though, the yikes is for the people who say, "Well, why would he cheat? He's a streamer, right?" First off, streamers have been cheating their way to popularity since the dawn of streaming. We have people who have faked being paralyzed and getting caught walking away from a reflection on a fish tank. We have had people fake having cancer, fake not being married, right? To try to entice 12-year-old boys to say, "Oh, I like you, here's money." I would not put anything above a streamer. Like, hacking would almost seem like the most innocent way to becoming popular on Twitch. So
yeah, I think for somebody his status, unnecessary, right? Like,
you're also playing Warzone, where you can make a gun a laser beam if you wanted to, like with the attachments and crap. So come on, let's pump the brakes on these cheating accusations and just chalk it up to the game sucks.
There you go.
Always
That's the
bring
next logical
it back.
step.
You gotta always bring it back. Just Warzone sucks. All right, let's get speaking of some Warzone / Call of Duty, let's get into CDL, because we did have the Call of Duty Minnesota, homestand this weekend. This was the storyline going in, was whoever left this weekend as champion would be kind of deemed the best team in the league at the moment. You have, for the first time, I think, in the league, all of the top teams being there. Atlanta, Chicago, Dallas. Those were the big ones. Like, those were really the three teams going into it. And then, like, you kind of just threw up Minnesota and Florida for fun.
Because they have tournament wins, right? So they get brought up into the conversation because they've at least tasted winning before.
Yes. Now, that being said, as professionals, as Anuj and myself are, sometimes what we say in previous episodes doesn't necessarily carry over to the current episode. All right? Just want to get that out there, because Florida is not the best team in the league. They won this weekend, but the Florida Mutineers are good, but not the best team in the league. This was not supposed to happen according to any storyline going into the weekend, and even during the weekend. I mean, hell, during the Dallas and Seattle game last night, it was after map 1. Dallas was up 1-0. And in the intermission of maps, what do they decide to talk about? Not, oh, let's look at map 2, or let's talk about the Surge or Dallas. No, it's let's break down Atlanta versus Dallas in the finals.
The finals preview before the playoffs.
The massive disrespect that the league showed to every other team still in the tournament at that very moment. I even tweeted it out. I couldn't even believe what I was seeing. In between maps, you're going to talk about a different team and their matchup that could potentially not happen and prove to not. But damn, what a weekend of Call of Duty.
You know, one thing this weekend did show me, so like you're right, it didn't show me who the best team was. That I think that's still very much up for debate. But it did show me something different. It showed me that anybody has a chance to win champs. Like, I really believe that there are 10 teams on any given weekend that, look, if they go on a run, if they get hot at the right time, maybe they get a matchup or two that lines up nicely for them early in the tournament, they're going to have a chance. Like, even the Gorillas surprised the hell out of me, out of everybody. this weekend. Seattle, although they ended up getting, I think they got swept on their exit out by Dallas. Um, they played Minnesota tight.
Yeah.
They played. I think they had another good one in here.
Phase.
They played
Well, they took
Atlanta. They were up 2-0 on Atlanta, and the reverse sweep happened there. And
thanks
so
to a 45-minute break.
yeah, that sucks. Obviously, that kills momentum. But look, both teams had to deal with it. They had to regroup, and still come back and win 3 games. So no excuses in my mind. If you're up 2-0, even if you lose one game, okay, you're warmed up again, right? Like, get it going. It is what it is for both teams. But yeah, it still sucks. I get it. But yeah, like, it really, after this weekend, I saw, man, there are a lot of teams that when they're on, dude, they're unbeatable.
Yeah.
Everybody seemed beatable this weekend. And that was the crazy part. FaZe had multiple, chinks in their armor, right? Like, there was multiple times where we saw them on the brink of losing games, once against Dallas being down 2-0, being down again, like we mentioned, Seattle being down 2-0. Like, that doesn't scream best team in the world to me. Dallas, same thing, right?
When you have to, for FaZe, when you have to do a reverse sweep just to survive, something's not right. Like, even going into the finals, like, I saw, I forget who was talking about it. Maybe it was Maven. Someone talked about saying how they're on a, like, the destinies, like the train of destiny. Like, you can't stop FaZe. It's destiny the way this is happening. And it's funny because I viewed their weekend as different. I didn't view the reverse sweeps as destiny is calling for FaZe. I viewed it as desperation more than anything, coming from Atlanta's side, where they were just clawing their way and just trying to stay above water when it came to these reverse sweeps. I didn't view it as destiny at all.
In every matchup they had, they were down to the brink of elimination. They were one game away from every elimination in all 4 of the matches they played this weekend, and that's including the one that they ultimately lost, right? But in every other matchup, they had to claw their way back. And now that shows me one thing is this is a team that knows how to win, right? They know how to close out games. They didn't only do it against bad teams, but they managed to do it against Dallas. And really took it to them in those last 3 games that they had. So I do know they're a team that knows how to win, but I know they have the ability to lose. They don't look like that unstoppable force that we kind of saw early in the season, right? Simp was a monster early on. I mean, all of these guys were just clicking and were pretty unstoppable early on. I didn't see that this weekend. And, kind of on the flip side, I thought Chicago's performance this weekend was just rough from start to finish. That I never felt like, other than the Ultra matchup, where obviously they swept the Ultra, they didn't look like anything special this weekend. Like, they didn't look like they belonged in that conversation of who the best team is.
You know what I saw?
Really struggled.
You know what I saw with Chicago this weekend is the same thing I saw them through weeks 3 and what was it? Like 3 weeks in a row, like 3 and 6, I think it was. Where, and I always get this vibe just with them in general. I think it starts from the top with Scump. I really do. That they are a team to where if you can get them tilted, if you can get them a little frustrated internally, you're gonna win. Like, they just seem like a team that struggles so hard. I don't know if it's like they have so much expectations in themselves that when they start losing, it just gets in their head. But it's like, I feel like it was like that was how this weekend was going for them, is they just couldn't recover.
Yeah, that there's probably some partial truth to that, right? Like, that they're getting in their own way a lot of the time, because talent-wise, they have the talent level to be the best team in the league. There's no questioning that. I think Pristini struggled a lot this weekend. Part of that is he's probably still finding his groove on the team, where he belongs, what's required of him. He was really getting smacked on, I think it was St. Petrogard, if I'm not mistaken. That might be wrong. But he was really, they weren't changing up a lot. When things were going bad, they weren't making the adjustments that you would need to to be a winning team at that point in time. They just kept on running the same thing, thinking it's going to work. It's going to work. And it was like round after round, it was like kind of rinse and repeat. I thought Dallas, although they didn't make it to the finals and ultimately they lost to the winners of the tournament, right? I thought they had a pretty good weekend overall. Like I wouldn't feel terribly disappointed if I were them. They're not going to feel great about the finish, right? Like at least not making it to the finals is going to hurt. It's a couple points you lose out on. But Shotzzy really is showing himself to maybe be the best player in the league right now. Now I'm not saying, you're saying he's better than Simp overall. There's a couple of names that you can kind of throw out there that obviously belong in that conversation. But he's really standing out. And that's hard to do amongst so many veteran and skilled players in this league, to stand out, whether that's because of his movement, his pacing. Like he just seems like he's on another level. And it's really impressive to see. And I think that team can still just grow, right? They don't need Krim and Clay to dominate if they have, Huk and Shotzzy doing it. Illy is, also if he kind of moves his game along a little bit more, this could still be a team that is standing right there at the end. So, I still think the best teams are like Atlanta and Dallas, after this weekend. But now there's 4 teams stuck at the top with 2 wins each, right? So there's still a lot, left to be proven, I think, from all of them. Like, all of them have something to show. I don't think one tournament win that puts you ahead of the group is going to necessarily, in everyone's eyes, mean you're the better team.
Yeah, because they even talked a little bit about that after the match between Florida and FaZe. Is like, well, I guess Florida might be the best team in the league because they went through every team this tournament. And I kind of thought to myself, I was like, that kind of seems like a very black and white way to think about it. Like, well, almost like rock, paper, scissors, right? Like, well, you beat him, so you beat that. I would put, like you said, I think I would still put FaZe number 1, Dallas number 2. And I think at this point, I would put Florida over Chicago. At this point in the game, I'm going to put that. Now, those are like so interchangeable, it's not even funny. Like, do not cement those in whatsoever, because next event it's going to just be completely different. Florida will probably bounce out of the first round, and that's just how it works. But for right now, I think Florida is easily the surprise of the year so far, though, especially after losing Pristini. Like, how do you just give away one of the best players in the league and then go back to win an event later?
And that's absolutely the biggest shocker, right? A team that gives away their star player for nothing and then wins a tournament like just a couple tournaments later, and in doing so, beats the team that they gave that player away to, right? We're sitting there calling them crazy, and then they come out and knock them out of the tournament pretty much. So, they've cemented themselves as one of the teams in the conversation for sure. You don't get 2 tournament, homestand wins without being one of the better teams. Again, those teams are all kind of jumbled together. It's hard to distinguish one over the other right now. All have a chance to do so, and everyone's fighting for the top 8. So I think right now we kind of have 5 out of those 8 set. We know they're most likely going to remain in the top 8 unless something drastic happens, maybe to the rocker. But you can say Florida, Dallas, Chicago, Atlanta are definitely going to be in the top 8. Will not be fighting out of the loser brackets going into champs. But that bottom 4. They have an opportunity. All of them have an opportunity to move up still. And so it's going to be an exciting rest of the season.
Yeah, for sure. Looking forward ahead of the season, there will be one slight change coming out of the weekend. We mentioned earlier that after the Atlanta-Seattle match had a 45-minute technical break that I believe was caused from the broadcasting side of it.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know what it is. Every other league under the sun has figured out broadcasting during Corona. CDL is still struggling. I don't really get it. Like, even during the finals, did the connection suck for you? Was that me?
I was having notice it, but on YouTube, I'm also like a little bit behind at all times. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So who knows? Either way, there was a very long pause in the match. A lot of people got upset, including players. Octane, if you saw his tweets, pretty much called out the league saying, you know what, go ahead and fine me. This sucks. Like, this is a joke. So there's that. So the league did come out and said, moving forward, and this is all subject to change, but moving forward, we will be instituting a new 15 plus 5 procedure that will cap the maximum delay at 20 minutes for any broadcast-related issue. So, in short, if there's a technical delay due to the broadcast side of it, rather than wait 45 minutes to fix it, after 20 minutes, they're just going to go. Some of the games might be played off stream. Some of them might be played without commentating. Maybe one point of view. Who knows? I guess it just depends on what's broken.
Fine. I think that's the right move to do.
100%.
Right? So
100%. And you got to think, this is better for in the future, too, when you start doing LAN events again. Like, we've been at LAN events, Anuj, where, I mean, you think there's no communication going on stream when there's a technical delay? Imagine being in the building. They don't tell you shit at LAN events. You're just sitting there twiddling your thumb, looking at your phone. And
checking Twitter.
Yeah, and then you realize, like, oh my God, it's been like 30 minutes. What is going on with this tech delay? So I think this is perfectly acceptable. You got to go with it, right?
And now this tees us up, Tim, for Paris, like the next event coming up that's scheduled for June 19th. Look, the teams that are in it, right? We got Florida, now the two-time winner, Dallas and FaZe, all going to be in this next event. So I think this weekend was actually better for the league because of the way it turned out, right? Not having that clear-cut favorite is going to keep a lot of your fan base chattering. Mm-hmm. They have the ability to go back and forth. There's really no bragging rights. Like, nobody's going to feel that comfortable coming out of this weekend. So I think this was better for the league that it went this way.
It's kind of funny, too, because you think Chicago is probably so happy Florida won because everyone was poking fun at Chicago being, kind of the worst of the triplets, right? FaZe, Dallas, Chicago. And now it's like, oh, we all are in the same boat. We all didn't win the weekend one of us were supposed to. So, yeah,
for sure.
Exactly right. Paris will be super exciting. And really, I mean, we only have 4 more events until playoffs. So it's going to be nuts. It's going to be a high speed, high impact rest of the CDL. So that being said, we did speak with Shotzzy earlier today. Now, this would have been in the morning. So this is before the Empire played Florida. So just keep that in mind. We asked him some questions about Florida, but I edited it out just because obviously it doesn't make much sense to listen to their attack plan against Florida when they already lost to them, But we did get a chance to sit down with Shotzzy, as my tongue gets tripped up on. So here's that for you. And I hope you enjoy. So we have Shotzzy from the Dallas Empire joining us right now, just a little bit before their matchup against Florida going into Championship Sunday. Shotzzy, how are you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for asking.
Kind of a crazy time for you guys lately. You had a long break, probably the longest any team's going to have all year long. And now you're jumping into what is, people are saying, like the most competitive weekend, right? You have all the top teams here. Whoever comes out of here is going to kind of be viewed as the best team. What was your mindset going into this weekend?
Everyone would think that like it would, kind of mess with, just chemistry and all that good stuff. And people wouldn't think that we would come out as strong. And honestly, before this event, we've been practicing at least like 2 to 3 days every single week for the past like at least 2 weeks. So, we've been practicing really hard for this event, and I expected a bloodbath, and I mean that's kind of what happened. Every series so far is kind of went to Game 5, and the series with FaZe, like that was just unfortunate, and we look to get our revenge in finals.
What was the turning point in the FaZe matchup? Y'all had the 2-0 lead, obviously. The reverse sweep unfortunately happened after that. What do you feel turned that match around for those guys?
So on that map 3 we did a really good bad side. I'm pretty sure we were either down 2 or up 2, and then we went into the good side which is spawning at the CDL side. And then they had like a really good break off. They they exploded in there at the yellow car. That car blew up and it killed them. And then like after that, they kind of just spiraled into their control. And then from there, they just took out the series.
And now headed into this weekend, there's obviously a lot of updates that happened to the game that, with the auto attack sprint and all this stuff that's come up recently. Do you think it was beneficial to have that extra time off to kind of prepare for some of those changes leading into this event?
Yeah, personally, because at the Minnesota launch weekend, I used auto attack sprint, and then people like my teammates told me to turn it off because obviously like I didn't do so hot. So they told me to turn it off, and then like I turned it off, tried to play with it online, and then I just couldn't really get the groove back on. Like for some reason, like everything was just so weird. I couldn't get used to it for like a straight week, which is like crazy to say. So I thought it was gonna be the same scenario when they GA'd it like 2 weeks back, but for some reason, ever since they GA'd it, I became a better player somehow, and I just got used to no attack sprint.
We've talked about it on the show before. It's just the amount of gentleman's agreement in Call of Duty is just astronomical compared to other esports scenes. Is that something as a player that you kind of appreciate the fact that the players can get together and agree on the rule sets? Or would you rather have it, I think of like, well, from a game you come from with Halo, where you kind of had that MLG playlist and that was the rules and what everyone played as?
I don't really know because like this is my first year of COD competing, and like the whole GA system, the way I look at it as is that some people try to GA certain things just because it's not in their favor. For example, if all of us were using tax sprint obviously, and like we were considered the best in the game, our scrims were insane, and they could have easily done that back in the game when Minnesota launch happened, when like a few people were running it, but now instead like they see us winning and all that stuff, so they wanted to GA it. So it kind of sucks because like, yeah, I would want Call of Duty to kind of GA their stuff for itself, but like, we kind of had to say because we're the one playing the games and all that good stuff. So it's like it's hard to say, to be honest.
I got to ask a follow up off of that, and this is going to be a hypothetical, okay? So assume we're in champs right now. It's the last map, and somebody breaks a GA rule to win the game and win champs. What's the penalty that would happen there? Is it just like a bad look, or I mean, what would actually happen in that scenario?
I've honestly asked the same thing. Like, let's say I break a GA in game, like what's gonna happen? And then like everyone usually just says like either the community is gonna like look at you different, and like the players are just gonna disrespect you, but you're still gonna get like the dub just because it's not in the rule book. It's just a gentleman agreement.
So is it going to happen for anyone you think this year? Last game, last map, would that ever happen, you think, in y'all's league?
I hope not, but I mean, like, I feel like someone would do it if they were to win, 400,000. I mean, I don't know. I'm just gonna have to trust the opponents, and they're gonna have to trust us.
Earlier in the season, I think it was after the second event, there was a segment that Call of Duty ran on air, and it was like a hot take type segment. I'm sure you know which one I'm referring to, but it's with Nameless. And Nameless had mentioned, after the second event, but obviously he mentioned you as being a potential bust in the league already, right? And now, kind of fast forward to where we are today, you're, if not regarded as the best, but one of the best players. How did you take a statement like that as a young player and build off of it to where you're at right now?
So once I heard that, obviously, and if that happened to anyone, it would obviously just lit their fire. And then from that point on, honestly, all I really did was just play the game as much as I can. I still play the game a lot before that, but I just wanted to, prove everyone wrong because I knew I was really good at the game, but I just needed to show that performance like online. And that's kind of what I did. I didn't let that get to me, and then from there, I just took over kind of.
It's been cliche to say that the online matches help out kind of the less experienced, because it's also cliche to say that you being younger and a rookie on LAN, you might feel that pressure more than, say, a veteran. Is there any truth to that now that you've kind of done both in the same season?
I to an extent, because I feel like, before there was the first LAN event, we were considered like the best team just because our online performances. There was one point where the Chicago team didn't even want to scrim us anymore because we were just too good online. And yeah, so everyone was just looking at us, and we were kind of the top dogs going into that event. So I wouldn't say there was a pressure, but like there was a lot of eyes on us basically for the most part that first event, and it didn't give me any pressure because I'm used to the pressure because I've been competing since I was 15, and there's been a couple big stages at the Halo event, so the pressure didn't get to me or anything. I just simply just played really bad, to be honest with you.
I'm kind of curious then, because you coming into the Dallas Empire and stuff, you have some big names sitting right next to you in Clay and Crims. From the outsider's point of view, they're kind of the captains. They're the voice of the leadership of the team. What's that kind of like working with them?
I've never experienced anything like it, to be honest, because back in the Halo roster, there wasn't necessarily like a leader. I guess there was a leader, kind of like I guess you could say Eco. He was the one like shot calling and all that good stuff. But I've never had a leader like Crim and Clay where like they literally just tell you exactly what to do in game, and like usually it works most of the time, and like even outside the game, like they teach you a lot. For example, like in practices and all that good stuff. Like before, I didn't even small talk at all, to be honest. And ever since I've joined the team, I've been small talking as much as I can, and just letting my teammates just tell me what to do, and it's been working so far.
At the end of the phase game, obviously a disappointing loss again, and there was a moment there where they showed on stream, they showed Clay kind of talking to the team. And in that moment, what kind of message is he delivering to you guys?
So we were just doing, that was nothing like, he just said that was nothing like us. We normally don't do mistakes like that. Our S&D was very like questionable because, we really don't, like we weren't small talking. We weren't saying what we were doing. We weren't doing anything. We're just letting FaZe take over for the most part. And, that's not like us. And he just said that we could easily do better. And yeah.
Now, I think I've been wanting to ask you this because I feel like you're one of the people that obviously has the ability to do it. You've proven it. You're kind of doing it in a sense. Any chance when Infinite releases that you could be one of the first like 2 esport professionals? Or you think you're 100% like Call of Duty from here on out?
Thing is, I've said this, I want to, but due to I think the league's contract, I don't think you're able to play 2 games at once, unfortunately. So I don't think that can happen. But if they change the rule, then I feel like I would try to do both. And obviously, if my teammates didn't want me to, then I would just stick to COD. But yeah, right now I'm kind of just I kind of stick with COD right now.
When you if you win champs this year, you're the MVP. I think you might have a little bit of pull and say and how this plays out for them.
You're not wrong.
Have you gone back to play any of the Halos on PC?
Yeah, I played Halo Reach, H2A, and I haven't tried the new Halo 3 one that just came out. But they're all really fun on PC. It's really smooth.
Yeah, definitely. I'm older than you. Well, we're both older than you by much, but I grew up on Halo, so I have the soft spot, right? Like Call of Duty's always there, but it's like the Halo used to be on top. That was my Call of Duty when I was a youth, so I have a Halo soft spot for sure.
Same here. I've been playing Halo since I was like 4, so like.
So what was the first?
Halo since.
I always like playing this game here because it makes us feel like we're a bunch of boomers. What was the first Halo you played?
First Halo I played that I can remember, because I for some reason I have a hard time remembering things that I can remember, would be like Halo 2. I think I was playing like the campaign or something because believe it or not, my uncle was a semi-pro in Halo 2, so
Really?
I would literally just go over to his house and watch him game all the time. So
would you say that's something that helped you out quite a bit in your professional career?
yeah, honestly, he taught me how to claw. Here, I'll show you guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We
If
have
anyone
you're
doesn't know
using
this.
the index finger for the A, B,
Yeah,
X,
so
Y.
basically,
Yep. You still play like
so
that?
basically, just to
Yeah.
this day, and I've been playing ever since I picked up a controller because I thought that was how you hold it, or you held it.
That's how.
Do long periods really hurt using the claw grip? You hear so much about it, right? Is that something that like after an extended period you feel it, or you're just so accustomed to it where it's like almost calloused out at this point?
I've been clawing ever since I picked up a controller, and I haven't had any problems, believe it or not, besides when I came to this game. And I think the reason being is because you have to not only double sprint, but slide cancel over and over and over for a certain amount of hours. And like, I guess that just took a toll on me kind of. And, ever since then, I've been getting like some cramps, but, I've been taking care of my hands. I usually ice my hands, do hand stretches, and, I wear wrist brace here and there.
Are you surprised at how well the transition has been for you?
Uh, I'd say so, yeah, myself, because it's different going from Halo to COD because I
Yeah.
genuinely don't think it's nowhere near like a game standpoint. Yes, it's like first person shooter, but like there's so much that goes into Call of Duty compared to Halo. And I didn't even think it was, it was this crazy, but there's a lot of decision making and like all that stuff that matters so much when it comes down to Call of Duty compared to Halo. And it's
Well,
it's crazy.
Also, what was going through the team's head when Clay was making his love shack?
He was just saying I was doing my thing. I honestly didn't even know he was doing all that. And like I think I had like 30 kills, and then like I look over to Clay, he was like, I hope they change the my screen. And I was just dying ever since I saw that. I was literally just laughing.
All right, and there you have it. Shotzzy from the Dallas Empire. Thank you again to him and Houston of the Dallas Empire for setting that up for us. Very appreciative. I would never have guessed, like after talking to him, the fact that like he is like an 18-year-old Call of Duty rookie. Like, of course, world champion in Halo, which is crazy to think that was like when he was like, what, 16, 17 years old, I think? 'Cause that was,
insane.
I think
Yeah.
2 years ago that they won. So that's nuts in itself. But, man, what a pickup from the Empire to get him, because I really do feel like you're looking at a future top player in the league.
Yeah, this guy's gonna win championships. Like he's got the pedigree, right? He's already done it. So no reason to believe that he wouldn't be able to turn it here. And he puts in the work. That's the best part is we've seen him improve. Like there was a lot of noise about him early on, and the dude put in the work. So it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. So appreciate then again to Shotzzy for hopping on. So we'll catch up with them down the road. Getting on to DreamHack Masters. Let's start with the EU side, because of course everything's got to be split up while we are still unable to have LAN events. Soon might change though. We'll talk about that in E-News. But on the EU side, poor G2. We talk about them on the show, and I swear we give them a lot of credit. Like, I don't know if it's because they have Kenny S on it and we just think of the good times, or if it's the fact that, like, if there's a team that can figure out a new way to lose, it's them. So you just feel bad at this point. But it was all there. It was set for them to walk away with this. In a tournament where Astralis gets 12th place, they lose the first round in the losers bracket. You have Fnatic, Vitality, all these top teams dropped out relatively early, right? You had it. You were playing big in the finals. Now, I know big's no slouch, but when you're looking at it, you would take big over a lot of the teams in this tournament if you were G2.
You're taking big with a 1-0 advantage.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it doesn't matter. And then for them to have it and a reverse sweep in the worst possible way, because not only was it a reverse sweep, but like they were up, what was it in Mirage? 11-4? 11-4 on map 5. You switch over to the second half and you blow it and it goes to overtime. Unbelievable.
You know, G2, man, like they're one of the winningest culture orgs, I feel like, in our modern day history, that like it's not closing out like that final step, right? Like I consider them a winning org because of there's 100 other orgs that would love to be G2, like love to be in G2's position, but every time they get to the final stage, it is, I mean, it's always heartbreaking loss. It's not just losing. It's reverse sweeps. It's getting 3-0'd. I mean, it's like
No
really,
one
really
defusing the
painful.
bomb.
Yeah, like salt in the wound kind of losses that they continuously take. And look, you got to credit Big because Big
Yeah.
played out of their mind. Sursen, and I might be pronouncing that wrong. This kid with the scout is better than 90% of the people in this game with any gun, any point, anywhere. I mean, he put up 41 on Mirage, and I would love to know how many of those were like scout kills. Like it was really something to watch. He was a special player on this weekend, and look, they earned it. Like you can't take it away from them. They had a good showing on Dust 2. That was like a dominating win for them. Same thing on Nuke. Like those were not fluke wins. When you're beating a team 16-6, 16-5, those are not fluke wins. Like you're putting in the work. And so impressive. I mean, really just like an impressive performance by Big, but for G2, like another heartbreaking second place trophy to go into that cabinet.
And then you have on the NA side, I don't even know if it's fair to say this is another heartbreaking loss for Liquid, but to lose to Furia in the fashion that they did, getting swept. Now, Furia did have a one map advantage going in, but regardless, Liquid just forgot to show up. I'm really convinced with how we've seen some of these teams and some of these matchups and just way things have been going on since Corona and everything's kind of started, I really do feel like some of these teams are starting to think and believe that online matches don't matter.
At least in NA CS, I feel like in EU CS, the good teams have generally been performing good, right? Like even though we had a G2 big finals, probably not your biggest names, right? G2 obviously we knew had a chance to be there, but
Big is a pretty big name.
They are. Big is a big name. Like they're not a small name, but you also had, like you said, the likes of FaZe, Navi, Vitality, Fnatic, Astralis, Mouse, like all these teams, even ENCE if you want to throw them in there, Complexity if you want to throw them in there. Like there were a lot of other names on the EU side that like they didn't play poorly outside of like really Astralis and Mouse Sports. The rest of them like competed fairly well. And you're seeing like the top level teams generally make it further in the tournaments. On the NA side, I'm utterly confused what's happening here. Evil Geniuses, the amount of times I have seen them in like last or second to last since we've been on COVID, like that team feels like it's a roster change. Like they're one tournament away from a roster change, like a massive change at this point, because it doesn't feel like an online issue if you suck that bad. Like it's been constant. They haven't found a way to win games. And then Liquid on the flip side, they win some and then they get 3-0'd, right? And like that's not what I would consider a top 5 team in the world when that's like consistently happening, online or not. Again, we're gonna get crapped on for saying that, oh, it's online CS. We're putting too much weight onto it. 2020 is the year of online. Like this year will be remembered for all of these tournaments. All of these tournaments are still going down in the record books. So it doesn't matter. It's not like it's one offline league that we're discussing here. It's every single tournament you pretty much play this year is going to be an online event. And if you're going to say then the whole year shouldn't count, well, shit, I'm telling you, orgs that are paying salaries think it counts. Tournament organizers that are paying hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in not just cost for them, but in prize winnings, say it means something, right? Your name's still going on the trophy. So points are still being allocated to making the major, regardless if we have it or not. As of today, there is still a Rio major. And so to say that these games are not important or to treat them that way, if they're doing that, it's a freaking joke. Like it's embarrassing on the NA side. NACS has taken just as big of a hit as Overwatch League has taken this year in terms of losing talent, teams not being prepared, teams not like playing well. Like it's just been consistent. Like it's a losing game plan that the NA side has going on here. And I really couldn't tell you which one of these teams is going to come out looking good, like heading into the major or 2021.
Almost feels like NACS of like 3 or 4 years ago, where there wasn't a number one NA team. It was a carousel of just players and teams that would maybe this tournament could be the number one NA, and this will be the NA team to compete with EU finally. And right now you're looking at an NA squad and you're like, none of you could compete. Like, thank God these tournaments are split between NA and EU, because we get right back to where we were 4 years ago, where NA was a joke in Counter-Strike, just getting laughed at all these international tournaments.
Like proper North American Counter-Strike, right? So take out South America, so you take out Brazil, take out 100 Thieves, because that's an Australian team that is now in NA because they've moved here, obviously. They're like the product for North America is like really pretty low tier CS. It feels like outside of Liquid, it's really hard to sit here and compliment any of these teams right now. And even Liquid, like I said, it's been a little dicey, but we know they have it in them to be able to win. But really, like, NACS is just in a tough spot, and I think we're just seeing that it's more evident now because these tournaments are split up. The quality of tournament that we're watching on the NA side feels like so lackluster compared to what I'm watching on the EU side. And so, yeah, I mean, for them, it's great that they're split up, because I'll tell you, if these were combined tournaments, we would be looking at like a bunch of NA teams falling 13th through 16th in this event. There wouldn't have been many, I think, that would have made it to the finish line here.
Yeah. It's a rough time for sure for NACS, but hopefully they can turn it back around as we are looking to get into possibly back into LAN events. So let's get on to some e-news so we can get into that, because it is rumored, or at least they're making an effort, that ESL 1 Cologne might be, just maybe, be the first CSGO LAN event that's going to take place since Katowice, like 3 months ago. Now, this is going to be towards the end of August. ESL is trying to do everything in their power to figure out how they're going to do this. I don't think it's going to involve a crowd or anything, but just for the sake of having a LAN event would be kind of, I think, a much needed kick.
I would love for it to happen. I still have like my doubts. I'm not going to get myself excited here, because right now there's still too many teams, that would have to fly over even from NA. Like, you're talking about taking overseas flights right now. People are not even comfortable flying one state over, let alone, going cross country or across the globe. So
I don't think it's going to happen. You were even seeing it here in the States that, Arizona kind of shut back down after loosening it up a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I think Dallas just hit their highest new cases.
And there's like more testing going on, but also there's like, because of all the civil unrest, there's also more people interacting with one another.
Yeah.
Over here, restaurants are now open to 75% capacity. So, people are just mingling and out and about more. So it's, I think we will see a second wave, and that's my medical expertise talking, right, Tim? But yeah, I don't see this tournament happening. Although in my heart, I would love to see Cologne be played on LAN. I just don't know if we're ready yet.
Yep. You have Overwatch. Ex-Titans Fissure is saying that Vancouver still owes him some money after his early contract termination, so they just cannot shake it. Vancouver Titans will never let this go, at least for now. But you gotta pay the players. Gotta pay them. In Battle Royale news, PUBG Mobile announced that their World League for 2020 Season 0 will have a whopping $850,000 prize pool. So I know we have listeners in Discord asking, is it really a dead game? Yes, it's a dead game. It's still it is the most popular dead game out there, if that makes sense.
Like, it's alive and well overseas and on mobile. If you're asking me if PUBG is alive in NA and like how is the NA scene on PC, I'm going to tell you it's a dead game. But yeah, is there a huge mobile market for it? Yeah, it's absolutely alive and well in the mobile market. outside of the U.S.
We
for the
talked
most
to
part.
while we were at BlizzCon. We talked to Team India, the Overwatch team from India, and asked, what's the game over there that everyone's playing? And without hesitation, they said PUBG Mobile. They're like, everywhere you go, in restaurants, picking up dry cleaning, wherever you go in India, they are playing PUBG Mobile. Blows my mind. But hey, I guess
everybody, most people have phones. Not everybody has a gaming computer,
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, again, yes, the game in my mind is dead in the NA PC scene. That's what we're going to talk about on this show. We're not going to talk about PMWL 2020 Season 0.
This will literally be the only time we bring it up. Yeah. Literally the only time. And in FGC news, Filipino champ, a well-known player in that scene, handed a ban from 2 way big tournaments that you don't want to be banned from, East Coast Throwdown and Combo Breaker, following his insensitive tweet of Black Lives Matter joke. Pretty much he tweeted out a picture of a watermelon and said watermelon lives matter too. Now, it was a big-ass watermelon. Like, he was tweeting a picture out to show you how big the watermelon was. I will side with you. It was a big-ass watermelon. Now, I will also say, know your audience. And, this is not the time to joke about it.
This is not the time to joke.
Not the time.
Just, Again, unfortunately, that's going to happen a lot in the industry that we're in because most of the people are, very young and they see it. It's funny. To them, it's funny, obviously. But yeah, you just gotta understand the world that we're in right now. This is not a time. Nobody wants to see that type of joke right now.
Not the line of humor for now. Let's dial that one back a little.
Joking about 9/11 on 9/12. It's not gonna fly.
Not a good time. Not a good time. All right, so there you have it. What episode? 247. 247. It's done. It's in the books. Thank you so much for listening. If you're in Twitch chat, thank you so much for joining. If you skipped around, listen to the whole darn thing, love you all the same. We will not be back Wednesday for Thursday's show. So we will have another member of the TCR family as baby Anuj joins us Wednesday night, Thursday morning. So probably going to take off that day. But we will be back, or I will be back on Sunday for Monday's show with surprise celebrity guest to be decided. Why don't you leave us suggestions in our iTunes review page? Leave that 5-star review. Maybe pitch your case on why you should be the guest. And maybe I'll pick you. But you got to leave a 5-star review on iTunes for that to happen. So there's the game. Okay, leave a 5-star review. Make your sales pitch on why you should be the co-host for Sunday's show. And I'll hit you up. But until then, for one last time, non-dad Anuj, and for Tim, we'll see ya.